this ability to address different levels of business requirements of our partners, no matter how complex it is. That corporates, and particularly SMEs, will value the convenience of being able to access their credit reports in a physical branch. And apart from that, we're also supporting multiple government initiatives that are consistent with our vision on promoting financial inclusion.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Power of Insights podcasts with Etihad Credit Bureau. I'm delighted to have today with me as my guest Hisham Salah Eldin from Ansari Exchange, which, as we all know, is one of the best known, most loved, and well respected brands in the community for financial services. And I'm delighted to have Hisham with me today to not only talk about the partnership that we have between our organizations, which we'll get into in a little while, but also to maybe go beyond what we know and expect from Ansari Exchange. We all obviously pass by the branches and know the brand very well, but of course there's always more than meets the eye when it comes to organizations that are scaling, growing, and serving so many customers. So we'd love to hear directly from Hisham on that. And with no further ado, Hisham, I'd like to welcome you and thank you for joining me today. I look forward to this conversation.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. So Hisham, let's get straight into it. I mean, as the head of business development for Ansari, and the partnership that we've been building together, you're obviously driving the growth of the organization and very much know and know the organization at its core. Maybe let's start with that. Maybe you could actually do us justice by explaining Ansari in its truest form to us and to our viewers.
Yeah, so Ansari Exchange is very well known being one of the leading remittance and foreign exchange service providers in the UAE, and it's one of the biggest across the region as well, I would say. And in fact, the company comes from a very deep-rooted background, as we have been operating in the market for close to 60 years now. And across those years, the company have been expanding and growing in a remarkable way. And today we have reached an unmatched network of branches, 275 across the UAE. And through those branches, we are providing a wide range of financial services to millions of our valued customers who are walking into our branches each and every month. And I would say also that we are a proud subsidiary of Al Ansari Financial Services, which is a public listed group operating in 4 different countries across the region. And fundamentally, our goal at the organization is to make financial services more customer focused and more accessible for both individuals as well as businesses.
It's fantastic. I mean, and I think this is why our brands and our missions align well. I mean, at the Bureau, we've been on our own journey, as you know, particularly for the last year, but even building up to that point, positioning ourselves closer to the consumer. So whilst, we're providing data and technology services to the whole of the industry, which we continue to do, but creating that relationship with end customers is newish to us, and we're getting closer at doing that as a financial companion. So for us, it was natural to start, learning and working with you guys, right, on how we can do that best. So I think what occurred to us at the Bureau was we were providing our services to the consumers, not only digitally, which we of course do, but also making sure that, to your point about making ourselves accessible, right? Some people need a face-to-face service for different reasons. And we had that in our offices in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, but that creates a limit, and we don't have the opportunity to create branches in the same way as a bank or an exchange house does. So I was really pleased to know that, we could partner together and do that through your branch network. And I know the branches is a key part of the brand and the experience at Al Ansari. And so adding our services for company credit reports was a real opportunity to make ourselves, not only make ourselves accessible and available to more companies, but also to add to another service that your customers may value. So maybe you could give us a few reflections on how that's been, because I think that partnership has been established for pretty much about a year now, which is, we can call this almost like a celebratory conversation from a year since we launched it. But yeah, I'd love to hear from you. Like, how's it been going since we started this journey?
Well, I'll start on this with my personal experience. I believe this was one of the most interesting projects I have worked on. And the reason for that is is it wasn't at all a straightforward project. It had, I'm sure you know, it had its own challenges, especially at the beginning. And what I would say is, what I would confidently say is, at Al Ansari Exchange, we have this ability to address different levels of business requirements of our partners, no matter how complex it is. And what helps us to do so is the very solid infrastructure we have. And when I say solid infrastructure, I mean either the extensive branches network or even the technology infrastructure, which is fully developed and managed in-house. So in this partnership, we had worked closely with Al Etihad Credit Bureau team to build a comprehensive solution for corporates that introduces both verification as well as payment processes at one stop. And across this journey, I had personally seen that both entities have a common vision on simplifying and enhancing the customer experience, but while maintaining the efficiency of business operations in place. And on those lines, and thanks to these partnerships, we can see now that the businesses can go to Al Ittihad Credit Bureau website, apply for a credit report, and then walk into any of Al Ansari Exchange branches nationwide and simply complete their verification and payment process. Then they get their credit report received instantly. It is that simple.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right, it was not straightforward, producing this service. Uh, and I think, it's important for people to realize why it's not so easy, because at the moment, there's a reason you can't do this fully digitally. And as you quite rightly mentioned, verification is a key part of the step right now. I mean, trade licenses are issued through many different entities and different licensing authorities throughout the country. We don't yet have a unified, repository for verifying, all of these different trade licenses across different emirates. We have to make sure that we're being compliant with KYC or with, ID verification, because there's sensitive data at hand. And so all of these things put together made it more relevant to create a branch service in the first instance, and use the power of Al Ansari to get the technology integration that we've now established with our collective APIs, as well as that front of house customer service. Because of course we want our brand represented well, and we know that you guys are well experienced in providing the customer experience on the front end as well. So I think what's been fantastic from our side, Hisham, is we've definitely seen a huge increase in the adoption of company credit reporting since we launched this service. So whilst it was already available, it's that awareness has increased, and I think that's the power of partnering, is because our collective brands and our collective distribution network, and indeed the voice of the customer, allows people to become aware that that service is available, what might they be benefiting from by using it, and all of the use cases that might exist for company credit reporting. So it's great to see that the adoption has increased purely by making availability and accessibility part of that mission, of our brands. So has there been any further reaction and insights that you're seeing since launching the service, and what kind of response are you seeing in the branches?
Yeah, so I would say that we had seen a few interesting facts. So since we launched the service to the public, we have executed thousands of transactions with almost no failed or returned ones. And personally, I believe that corporates, and particularly SMEs, will value the convenience of being able to access their credit reports in a physical branch which is near to them, because that gives them quicker access to information which supports their financial decision making, right? While continue to save time and effort on the process. And in fact, such positive feedback which we had seen, we're proud of such thing, and that continue to drive our ongoing efforts to even further enhance the service, of course in collaboration with Al Ittihad Credit Bureau team, who are also doing a great job on that.
Yeah, I think we've definitely seen some trends starting to come through recently as well. I mean, we were looking together at the analytics, right, and looking at which branches people are using, and it's really insightful, especially for us, looking at such a broad network. Branches that are convenient to metro stations or in high commuter volumes, but also business districts, right, free zones and business clusters where, as you say, it's making that convenience, so that people who are already doing business don't have to take time out of their day, but also that they have that service available on demand and quickly. We've seen there's so many new use cases that are coming up and for company credit reporting, right? People are needing their company credit reports not just to apply for credit, but sometimes to make submissions for tenders and for RFPs. Sometimes they're doing a health check, sometimes they're refinancing. There's so many use cases that are increasing. So being able to access it in locations that are suitable for their business is definitely the feedback that we're getting, is people have found the biggest benefit. So look, going beyond our partnership, so that's a fantastic use case that we've developed. I know there's a few more things that we're working on. Maybe you could kind of touch on where we are with some of those projects, Hisham.
Yeah, so I would say that our next mission is individual customers. So we have an ambitious plan to enable individual customers across the UAE to be able to simply walk into any Al Ansari Exchange branch just with their Emirates ID. No other input is needed. And be able to request their credit report, pay for it, and get it received instantly. And that, of course, will happen through a very sophisticated real-time integration between the system of Al Ansari Exchange and the system of Al Etihad Credit Bureau. Beyond that, we're also having a plan to introduce the service via our digital channels, because our goal remain to provide a positive experience to customers, whether they are interacting with us online or in person.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm excited about this one particularly because a lot of people often ask us, why is there another option? Because I can go directly to the bureau and
Mm.
download the application and access the service. But I always reply with the same thing, that in the end, it's about user choice
Yeah,
and trust,
yeah,
actually. If we only provided our service and access through ourselves, that's fine. But actually, when it comes to people's financial services, their financial behaviors, their payment preferences, their physical location, all of these things, we want to make sure that we are providing our service in a way that is relevant. And so with Al Ansari, it's about, there's many people who choose to visit your branches. They're running their remittances, they're conducting, all sorts of transactions. I know you provide other government transaction services also through the branches, for example. So if a customer chooses to do that as an individual in your branch, then they should have that option. But equally, if they're used to using your digital services and they know that they're used to doing their remittances and managing money on your digital channels, they shouldn't need another application, in order to do it. They run their credit information. So that's why we're adding it on top of this. So for us, it's about just being accessible and available and as convenient as possible. So customers just at least have the choice. And brand trust is also an
yeah,
important one.
yeah.
And obviously, as a federal entity, we have that security in our entity. But our partners have to be reliable and trustworthy at a technical level, at a service level, and a brand
Mhm.
reputational level. So
Sure.
yeah, I'm looking forward to Al Ansari introducing that to the individuals in due course. Quite possibly just shortly after the time this podcast goes out. So we'll see about the further announcements. Okay, Hisham. I mean, maybe beyond the partnership that we have together, I'd love to hear a bit more about what else Al Ansari is doing and where you guys are going next. Because as we said at the beginning, you're very well known for your core remittance services. But where are you taking that to the next level? Because I know, especially in your role, you don't stop.
Yeah, that is correct. So quite a lot of things have been happening recently. I would say that we're planning to expand our payments and digital remittance solutions to better meet the emerging needs which arises from our customers and clients. And beyond that, we're very proud also to mention that Al Ansari Exchange was recently named as the best remittance and foreign exchange service provider during the 2025 MEA Finance Awards.
Congratulations.
Thanks so much for that. And apart from that, we're also supporting multiple government initiatives that are consistent with our vision on promoting financial inclusion. Yeah, so that's an overall view of what have been happening recently, and we trust that energy continue to drive us towards more achievements.
Okay, so Hisham, I want to put all of this in the context of the end customer because that's what's most important, is how they feel and what's relevant for them. So that's why even at the bureau, we've been positioning our brand closer to the customer and to be a financial companion. A lot of people, for example, don't understand or know much about their credit health and credit data and information, and how that's a part of their overall financial well-being. So yes, we will support that message, but we want to bring all of the financial topics to the table to help with financial literacy and inclusion. In fact, our leadership is part of the national strategy development. So Mr. Rashid Al Ansari and His Excellency Marwan from the Bureau are well connected on this topic at a national level as well. So we're not just working on projects, but we're also working together on national policy. But when we say what's important to customers, this we're in a very digitalized world now. We have smartphones, smart applications. We provide our services digitally. You provide your services digitally. But maybe, Hisham, you can tell us why in this world, which is so digitally, transformed and digital centric, and we have such a diverse, range of customers and users in this country. We deal with every segment of society, as do you. So why, with all of those different segments of society, is a physical touch point still so relevant today? Maybe you can help shed some light on that reality.
Yeah, I would say that different customers have different choices. And one of our key focuses in an Ansari Exchange is to provide that convenience, right? So if the customer is a tech-savvy customer who wants to transfer money quickly through a mobile app, we have launched our mobile app in the market back in time, even before the market thinks about having a mobile app for transferring funds. And if the customer prefers the physical and human interaction at the branch, you will find the physical branch of Al Ansari Exchange near to you, no matter where you are. If you are inside the city, if you are in the urban areas, or in an industrial area, no matter where is it. So I would say that we give customer the freedom to choose
Mm.
whether they want to do it in the app, whether they want to do it in the branch. In both of them, you can have the access to a wide variety of financial services. It could be money exchange, it could be transferring funds back home or even locally. It can be WPS services. So that's what we have been building over the past few years. And from our expertise, we can see that the number of customers who are going to the app, going to preferring using the app is increasing,
Mm-hmm.
but also the customers who are still preferring the human interaction is the branch
Mm.
is quite substantial. And our vision on that is to continue developing both channels.
Mm-hmm.
So the branches are expanding and the mobile app is developing, and we're also adding multiple new features each and every month on the app so that our customers can have that convenience.
I mean, it's fascinating, isn't it? Because I know with a lot of other financial service providers and indeed even retailers, there's been a trend to kind of come off the high street for various reasons. Some of it could be cost as well, and provide only digital or really push for that digital. But you're doing both, as you say. Like you're seeing growth in digital, but you're still seeing growth in physical touch points. I'm really intrigued by this point you made about being in sort of industrial and urban areas, because um, some of us, I'll count myself guilty at that. My exposure to an Al Ansari branch is obviously only based on my personal day-to-day journey, right?
Mhm.
Whether it's near the office, whether it's in my home community, whether it's in the mall. But you guys are beyond just those, high street, if I can call it, and high profile locations as well. And that, I think, gives you access to a completely different side of the community and different segments of society. So maybe you could just help tell us a bit more about the kind of hidden side of the branch network, and how that's important for you to be close to them.
Yeah, so I would say that we have different categories of customers. We're serving a wide range of people, right? And our branch network is strategically positioned to serve both categories, whether it's a white cooler, blue cooler, or whatever category we can serve. So you will find again our branches, as I said, inside the city, but you will find a lot of our branches across industrial areas as well, because they represent a big portion of our customers, and we're happy and proud to serve them. And again, inside our branch and in the industrial area, you will find the same services which you can find in a branch inside the city, so that we provide this convenience each and everywhere near to the customer, and each and every customer segment chooses the services which are relevant to them as per their preference.
It's fantastic. I mean, I really want to thank you for coming along and
Sure.
and telling the story directly. And this partnership is very important to us at the Bureau. And we're looking forward to launching the next wave of services. And I think with our new application that we've just launched in the market, that opens up a whole new opportunity of integrations and digital services bilaterally as well. So as well as some of the services of the bureau being available in your digital service platforms, I think there's some exciting ideas that we've got about actually how can some of that live in our app as well. So we'll save that for a future conversation. I'd love to have you back for that conversation in a future series. But thanks again, Hisham, for joining us, and let's look forward to our partnership prospering further.
Sure. Thanks so much for having me. It was a very interesting session, in fact. And I would again say that we are very proud of this partnership, and we look forward together to continue supporting the financial ecosystem of the UAE.
Fantastic.